morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party. No Rhett here because it is Thursday, September 25th at 8:21 a.m. And on Thursdays, my son brings his dogs over. Usually around, I think he usually drops them off around 8:45, so in about 25 minutes, and all hell breaks loose whenever he brings them in because they just get so excited. Um, and they just have a great time, but they start running around, and it just gets a little too chaotic for me to have Rhett out here for that. Rhett loves chaos, but it's just one of those things. Anyways, we I started. So we're on this path of refactoring right now, and the refactoring is going really well. I have a some HTML, and I'm using a ng class. I guess that's a directive, and these brackets mean that it's calculated. The value is calculated, and basically it's going to take whatever value comes from view layout, and it's going to make that whatever the ng class is. Now, I believe view layout is actually a signal, and this is it. It's a computed signal, and basically it's computed off of this view signal, and the view signal is called custom. But the idea is if we change it, then we'll get a different a different class in there. So if I change this to tabular, and this, what happens is this should rebuild itself, and then if I add it at view, now we're in tabular. So this is all because I'm refactoring away from using the router outlet directive, and into using just traditional, the old-fashioned CSS to hide and show and hide things. And the reason I did that is because I just noticed that we were getting a lot of what's called detached nodes, or detached elements in when we were using the router outlet. So I wanted to refactor away from it. So you may have noticed the first time, right? So when I was in custom, like one point I want to make is that this is broken now, right? And so if I remember correctly, when I implemented this, what happened, what the way I had it implemented is when the not directive, the component, the visualization component, when it gets in the constructor, or when it gets constructed, it sets itself up as it sets itself up to be able to show the little visualization. But the problem is that and it will still it, like if that visualization is being shown by another component, visualization component, it will steal the visualization from the other one. So if I turn this back to tabular, and I add one, we can see it, and that's because the other one is still there. It just it got created first, it got the value, and then this one got created second, and then it got the value and it stole it from the first one, and that's why we only see a blank the first time. Because when I initially built this, the whole idea was that whatever had it before would be gone. It would be history. But the problem was that the elements that were holding it stay as the router, not the router, the browser keeps a reference to the elements that are there. So we could check now to see if we have anything going on like that. And the way we could check that is we can go to memory in our tools, and we can say take snapshot. And so as you see, we do have one node that is detached. So this node will always exist. Now it's just an empty node, but when we were looking at the router, when we were moving back and forth between these things, we were getting some enormous nodes. I honestly think we could have 1,000,000 of these things, and it wouldn't. We wouldn't experience any kind of issue. Now I don't understand. So the thing is what's happening is that so we have JavaScript, and JavaScript has created these nodes. The browser recognizes that it has nodes that the that that aren't being displayed, and that aren't. I don't even know if not being displayed is actually accurate now that I think about it. But that JavaScript does not have have a reference to. So it sure would be nice if the people that created the browser side and that are maintaining the piece of the code that has these nodes expose an API that would allow us to say, hey, delete all detached nodes. There may be some reasons why it might want to keep a detached node, but there's no reason for them not to let us, at least when we say delete it. Like, let the buyer beware, let the developer beware. If you delete a detached node that is for some reason needed, you may have some problems. But I don't know. I don't know about that. But so we do have at least one detached element, but it's nothing. I don't think it's so small. I don't think it's worth worrying about. I can imagine nodes in the future that have thousands and thousands of nodes, that we would have these huge detached nodes. So that was one thing. Another thing that I do is I like to do a mental check-in of, like, every 3 years I want to be in a place where 3 years ago, me from 3 years ago wouldn't be able to read the code that I'm writing today. I find that if I can read code that, if me from 3 years ago could read code that I can understand today, everything that I can understand today, I'm clearly falling behind. Now, the pace of software development has definitely slowed down. So maybe it should be 5 years or 10 years now, but there was a point where, like, the coding changed so dramatically so fast that, like, in 3 years you could be completely, like, everything could be stable. But I am excited because there's no way that me from 3 years ago would have understood any of this code here. So I think I'm still on the right path to having a successful career, being able to stay in software development for a long time. You definitely want to be able to, like, everything that you write, everything that you write today that's interesting will be abstracted at some point, and then there'll be some button in some CMS that can do whatever it is you're doing in a few years. So you have to stay ahead of that wave, or you're going to fall behind. It's just sort of one of the unfortunate things about being a software developer is that as you become more, as time goes by, it just changes so much that you can no longer, the dogs are here, you just can't keep up, or you'll just fall behind if you don't change a lot very quickly. So, and it's just the reality of things. Like I said, I think things have slowed down. I'm trying to figure out why they slowed down. I think they're slowed down because of large language models. I think it's not in the best interest of large language models for change. Change is bad for large language models. I do fantasy football. I find that is probably one of the most difficult things for AIs to really get a hold of. And the reason is because things just from day to day change so dramatically in football that if you trained a large language model to look for specific things, those specific things aren't even relevant after a little while. But anyway, so now the next step is to tie these signals into a component. Into the router. And so yesterday I did have a conversation with ChatGPT about this. I've had at least one conversation since. Let's see. So we had decided. I had decided on using. There was 3 options that it gave, and I think. I don't think that's not. And I think that I want this one, or did I want this one? So it definitely was strongly going against this, and this code is a bit problematic because um, the it creates a subscription, and it doesn't ever unsubscribe from it, which is a bit of a problem. But um, in this specific instance, it's not that big of a deal because I don't think I think the current route object never like it. I don't think it has any references to anything that won't exist anymore. Um, but it may, this could expand to the point where it would have references. Um, Additionally, the app should never be destroyed, so there would be no reason to ever destroy this subscription, but just a bad practice. So activated route params is one way to do it, and the other thing is activated route or router. Activated route or params or data, if you care about route params. And I do care about the route params because we do have a route that for where we say what ID we're, which like every one of these has its own ID, and sometimes during the update on the update one we do care about that. So we do care about params. Um, so I think this is the guy we want, number 2. Um, so basically it's saying user ID to signal. So I think we're creating a signal. So I think this is kind of the equivalent of this where view, private view is equal to signal. This is equivalent saying, hey, user ID to signal. Okay. So I think this is what we want to do, but I guess maybe we want to replace view. I think view right now is just a signal that we hard-coded to tabular, but I guess we can say to signal this route param map pipe map get. I think that is basically would replace this, and then basically it's going to take whatever the param is. But I don't know if we get so I think all we get is the ID. I don't think we actually get the route, but we do care about the route. The route is actually, I guess now that I think about it, maybe this would be because I don't. So the actual thing that's going to control the layout is going to be this class. The class, I guess for this class, we don't care about that, whatever the ID is. But when we do decide to get the ID, I guess we're going to have to, and it might make sense, actually it probably makes sense to do that in the actual component itself. Like all this cares about is which route it is. So I think now I changed my mind. I think we want to use this guy. Now I don't know if you already have args from the router, like router events, router. So we don't have any of these things. You can convert them to a signal with to signal. So the current route is basically all we want, I think. So it seems like this is the code I want. Current router events. Router URL. Now I don't know if this URL is going to have, I don't know what this router, let's see if ChatGPT, what this is going to return. know if it's faster to try it or just to. Okay. So it's going to give, what if all I want is products? Products. So I don't want all of this. I don't want all of this. I just want this. Products. I don't want the whole thing. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have to do a little bit more than that. So it looks like we're going to have to do something like this, but let's go ahead and just start with copying option 1. And I'm just going to just do it the way we're doing this. Now, I don't think we have the toSignal loaded. And I guess that's an RxJS thing. Let's see, toSignal. Oh, it's from Angular Core. And then inside there, there's a thing. I wonder if we could put toSignal up here, or if we have to fully qualify it. I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out. So I'm just going to put this here. I kind of like, I'm like, oh man, we have like good working code right now. It would be nice to have a commit, but it's very, very incomplete. Router. At least if this completely goes sideways, at least I have some chance of figuring out. Okay, so toSignal. I'm curious if I can just take this from, I think I can just take this from the core. I don't think I have to fully qualify it. QRST. So let's see. No, looks like I do have to fully qualify it. It's kind of weird. I don't really understand this. Like when you have to, like how deep. It seems like everything, well maybe, well I guess there's like a roll-up file probably in there, and I guess they just decided not to add toSignal to the roll-up file. Can't even imagine the arguments that everybody must have had over that. I don't know. I don't know how passionate they are over in the on these Angular pull requests and stuff like that. And the other thing I don't really have a good grip on that is like how much of that sort of work do Angular engineers do, and how much do they just lean on the community to do all their work for them. I just don't know. Oh, so we're already using the router module, but I think I just want this. So router module is a whole module that has all kinds of stuff in it, but router, yeah, it's a class, and navigation end, I believe, is it's also a class. It's a navigation end class, which I'm guessing extends some sort of navigation class. And then router is a router class. And they're both aliases, and I don't really know what that means. But we can't do that anymore. And we don't need it, because I think we only needed it for the, what did we need it for? We needed it to use the router outlet component. So filter, let's see, where filters comes from, and map both come from RxJS operators. It'll be very interesting to see what the future of RxJS is. I think they're kind of like, they did such a good job on so many things, but they kind of were forced into doing a lot of things. All right, so it looks like we have everything. So, and we have this thing called current route. So I'm just going to save it and just see if it compiles. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I guess, let's see, can I put a div in here and see it? I don't know about the way I have my CSS set up. If we can see text up here, if it's going to be hidden behind something, and then it looks like it's not working at all. Is it compiled? It's compiled. F12 console. Oh, it did eventually come in. And see, we can't see our hello text. What if I put hello after it? Well, let's just play around in here. Root. So there's our hello. So what if I gave it like a top? Okay, so PX. So it's telling me that I can't use top with its current. It's a static. I guess static must be the default position. I believe we want it to make it relative. Oh. POS, position. So position is absolute, it works. Fixed, it doesn't. Relative. I don't think 100, maybe. Let's go with absolute and let's make it like 300. We just want to see what the value is. 300, 500. Okay, where is this thing? So maybe it's because of the color. So let's go ahead and get rid of both of these. And then okay. We can see it, we just need to set the color. So since we're just doing this we're just gonna give it an inline color. Hit save. Okay. So now we can look at I think we can look at our current route. I believe all we have to do though is, I believe we have to tell it though. I believe we have to execute it. Hello, current route. So we need it to interpolate it? Yeah, I think it's interpolate. I'm not sure what the right word is. Okay, so that is the current route. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the route. So it's adding the /tabular /custom. And right now we don't have any way of getting to a route. Well, we could. Let's see if we add update 1. So we don't want this to say update 1. We want this to say update. So 845. All right, so now we want to do the second set of code that it provided down here, where we parse out the first thing. So the decision is being made to parse out the first thing. I don't think we'll ever have more than 40 routes at the absolute max. I can't imagine having more than 40 routes. Maybe we'll have more than 40, but I don't think we will ever have more than 40 routes. I do think that we'll have deeper routes, like I might be saying update / camera slash 1 or 5, or it's like the camera that has ID of 5, and I want to see that or something like that. Like I could see that, and then we'll have to go into this code and kind of figure out how to do that, and it'll be easier to figure that out then than that. It's not that it's probably be pretty easy to figure out now. We're probably just going to get it wrong, and we'll end up having to undo whatever idea that I was thinking things are going to be, because things are going to be different than I can imagine right now. But anyway, so we want this to be like update, not we want this just to read update without any slashes, and we don't want the 1. So we want this code here. And so here they called it first segment. Let's go look and see what we did here. And again, like this code here, like I would not have been able to make sense of this code 3 years ago. So that's, to me, a good plan, a good sign. That's a good sign that I'm on the right path. And I think that Angular is the right path. Obviously, Angular is not perfect, but man, is it superior to almost every other system that's out there, in my opinion. They're a brutal commitment to constantly moving forward, no matter how many people, no matter what the pressure is, just like magnificent. And I'm sure it's not easy. Okay, so I feel like I could spend about 20 minutes and really understand what all these things are doing. I've never really, that map, the whole map concept has been, I finally have it down pat for arrays. And I don't know if it's the same, but I've never sat down and figured that out. So I don't understand why segments 0 isn't working. Just something. Okay, so they left out the whole navigation end, and they just have this map and the router URL. And I don't know what segments is. First segment, URL. So here, okay, so let's try this. A, just call it A, and then A. Nope. Okay, so I don't know what that is. So apparently it's looking at whatever the router's URL is. And, okay, so maybe they... So I feel like this is probably actually closer to what we're doing. So I don't know what that other thing was about. I'm sure it would be fascinating to sort of dig in and figure that out, but just don't feel like it today. I'm freaking tired. I'm tired. I don't know why I've been so tired lately, but I've been very, very tired. The last few days. See what we get here. So that didn't give us anything. Router split. So this is going to, okay, so I think what this would do is this would return an array. And we're not really using it. I don't know why this is a problem. Okay. To signal map initial value. And I guess that has to be a string. So if I take this and I just say hello, I believe it'll just put hello up there. No. Okay. Maybe, oh, okay, so maybe that's the problem. Okay, so this is the initial value. I think I was supposed to put that code here. Okay, so that is definitely working right now. Now, I don't know, is this, what is this? Required for single initialization. So I want this to, I guess that's the default value. So I want it to be custom. So it started off as that. So now if I go custom tabular, and then the default is custom. So if there is nothing. So I think that is the right track. Okay, so I think this is actually what I want my signal to be. Instead of being this hard-coded signal that goes to, that's just got tabular hard-coded into it, I want it to be the one we just created. Okay, what? I don't know why we, oh, well, no, it's probably upset because of this. Okay. So let's see what we get. Okay, so there's a couple things wrong. I just noticed this thing. Set view. This view. Private view. So apparently that's not a signal. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to this. So I don't understand. So what if I just do this instead? Well, the problem is well, I guess I don't need this setter though, because the router is setting. So at this point, and this may come back to bite us later, but it doesn't look like I even need any of that stuff. Okay, so now let's, well, okay, so now let's just complete, oh, because, wait, why? Why is that not working now? We have an error. Alright. I don't understand why that would break. Oh, I changed it in here. I don't, why would this change the way this worked up here? Oh, it didn't. Okay, so I guess let's get rid of this. I'm very confused. I think that might have just been something. Maybe it gets broken. Like, oh, it's probably like a logic thing. In that code. So let's come over here. Change this. I need to get off here. here. So that's very interesting too, that now with this new change, it's not showing the and that could have just been another weird thing. But okay, so that is working. So our routing is working now. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. And reload. Add the viz. Let's go here. Reload. Add a viz. Close this. Go back here. And see, yeah, for some reason it doesn't show. It doesn't get re-rendered. Who knows why? But it does. I'm curious now. I can't help it. I know I don't have time for this, but yeah. So we don't appear to have any weirdness happening. Let's go back to here. Add one. Close this. Yeah, and there's no console error or anything. So who knows? Who knows what's happening? We definitely have a canvas there, but it doesn't have anything inside of it. Anyways, so that'll do that. I'm not sure what we're gonna do tomorrow to try to get this stuff working, but I guess tomorrow it'll be time to work on this view here, and then be able to show the edit view. I don't know about rendering the actual that view, but like that'll be a good thing to do tomorrow. And yeah, so the one thing I will say though is that I would never have guessed that our coupling with the router would have like an effect on the way that components work, but it does, and you just can't predict those things. So like, had I waited like 5 years from now when I have everything, let's say this application succeeds the way I hope, and 5 years from now I can do all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm like, man, this thing's getting slower and slower and slower. I gotta undo my routing. I think it would have been impossible at that point to do it. I think I'm doing it right now. The reason I'm doing it is because I know this is the only time that I'm going to get a chance to do this. And if I wait, it won't be feasible later. Anyways, everybody, happy coding. Bye.